This is the Iranian Shahed 136 drone, the one that's been causing chaos all over the world. This is America's Tomahawk cruise missile, costing around $1.5 million. This is Russia's KH-101 cruise missile, priced between $10 and $13 million. And this is Iran's Fateh 110 missile, which costs anywhere from $15,000 to $1 million. And then in walks the Shahed 136 drone. It's also an offensive weapon, fitting into the missile category, but its price is between $20,000 and $50,000 cheaper than the cost of a car. This drone technology has taught modern warfare that you can fight war economically, not just with advanced, expensive weapons.
At the nerve center of American missile defense in the Middle East, the US and Israel launched this war at dawn.
This drone is also called a loitering munition, and you might also hear it referred to as a suicide drone because when it hits its target, it's destroyed in the process. Before it strikes, it can loiter and surveil the target area, flying around in circles. Some targets are only visible for a short time before disappearing again. So as soon as it spots its target, it attacks and is destroyed along with it. When this drone is flying through the sky, its engine sounds just like a scooter. That's why it's also been nicknamed the flying scooter, because it's actually powered by a two-stroke scooter engine. We'll get into exactly how it works and how it attacks. Plus, we'll break down how you can intercept it and why shooting it down is so incredibly costly.
Danger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America. And
if we look at the drone's size, it has a total length of about 3.6 meters. Its wings are built on a Delta airframe with a wingspan of roughly 2.95 meters. The drone's total weight is just around 220 kilograms. To put that in perspective, compared to a human being, these things are pretty big in size. The warhead is carried in the front and can range from 30 to 50 kilograms, depending on the target. On the backside, you have its propeller, which generates the thrust for the drone. However, it can't launch by itself. We'll get into that launch process in a bit. The engine it uses is a two-stroke gasoline engine imported cheaply from China. It's basically inspired by an old German engine design.
Whether the IRGC's claim of complete destruction holds up to independent verification, the radar is damaged, the network has a gap.
If you think about it, back in World War II, the Germans used something called the Jericho trumpet siren on the landing gear of their aircraft. It was essentially a propeller that, as the plane dove at high speed, made a screaming sound designed to create psychological fear in the people below. This engine is air-cooled, which means it has no separate cooling mechanism. As the drone flies at high speed, the air itself cools it down. It produces about 50 horsepower, pushing the drone to a speed of around 200 kilometers per hour. Just take a listen to what this engine sounds like. When the drone is in the air, it makes a sound just like this. To control the flight, the drone has control fins on the rear near the engine. These keep the drone stable during flight.
Israeli military assessments. Some were intercepted by air defense systems. Others came down in open areas.
To get the drone up into the air, it uses flaps that provide lift. Right next to those, on the back of the delta wing, are the elevons. These are what make the drone turn, controlled by servo motors. The drone's central section houses its computer system, which manages the flight, along with a GPS system that stays connected to satellites, constantly feeding the drone its location and position. But if GPS fails, it has an INS, an inertial navigation system, with sensors like gyroscopes and accelerometers that track speed, direction, and movement. An anti-radiation seeker is a sensor that detects electromagnetic radiation. Radars are constantly transmitting radar signals into the air, and this sensor can detect those signals to figure out which direction they're coming from. The drone can then be steered in that direction, because if you destroy the radar of any air defense system, you can effectively blind it. So how is the drone launched? It needs a launcher. It can't take off on its own. On the underside, it has a rocket booster attached. For launch, the launcher is set up on a truck angled on an inclined launch rail. First, the boosters are ignited, giving the drone its initial momentum. As soon as the drone is airborne, its two-stroke engine kicks in. Once the drone is operating on its main engine, the boosters are jettisoned, making the drone lighter, which is better for its efficiency. This drone has a range of around 2,000 kilometers. But here's the key thing about these drones. They operate in swarms. They don't fly alone.
Worst case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person. Right? Most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead.
They fly in large groups, and in recent situations, Iran has launched over 100 of these drones at once. They all stay coordinated. They don't all hit the same target. They fix on their own individual targets and destroy them. They also fly at very low altitudes, close to the ground, which makes them incredibly difficult to intercept. Now, modern technology does exist that can destroy them technologically, but economically, taking them out is a huge problem. Any country's air defense system has 3 layers of security. Layer 1 uses surface-to-air missiles like Israel's Iron Dome system or India's Akash air defense system. This system has its own radar. The radar detects the target and sends the info to the control system. The control system is connected to the battery system containing the interceptor missiles, and it's the control system that launches them. Both of these systems are for destroying small targets like drones and short-range missiles, but when drones come in huge numbers, some will always get through and destroy their target. This, for example, is the Tamir interceptor missile used in Israel's Iron Dome system, which costs around $50,000 each. Looked at it that way, it's 2 to 3 times more expensive than the Shahed drone itself. This is America's Patriot interceptor missile, the PAC-2, which costs between $2 and $3 million, roughly 50 to 60 times more expensive than the drone. So yes, you can intercept this drone with that missile, but the math is brutal. You can also use fighter jets to intercept them, but that's the most costly method of all. Another option is anti-aircraft guns, which have their own built-in radar. They first detect the target and then fire. But these guns have a very short range, only about 3 to 5 kilometers. However, because drones are small, slow targets, they can be quite effective. Layer 2 security also has its own radar, control system, and battery system, but this layer targets larger threats like aircraft, cruise missiles, and medium-range ballistic missiles. Israel uses the David Sling system in this layer, and India uses the Barak 8. Layer 3 security is even more robust and is designed to intercept long-range ballistic missiles, basically engaging them in space. For this layer, Israel uses the Arrow 3 system and India uses the S-400 system. You can see a detailed breakdown of how the S-400 works here. It's pretty interesting. So hopefully that gives you a solid understanding of how loitering munitions work. If you're interested in learning how to create animations like this, check out the link in the description. Thanks for watching.